So we've had the Chinese Grand Prix, and well, it wasn't the most exciting of races, but there was one moment which really turned everything, wasn't it? But we'll get right to the start, and it was a brilliant start from Fernando Alonso right up into P2, isn't it? Brilliant job from him. Got the jump on Sergio Perez. And then from there on, I mean, also the Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz interturn was really feisty, wasn't he? He just ran Carlos Sainz wide, so much so I think he was just more concerned about Sainz and rather holding position, because George Russell nicked that place from the pair of them, didn't he? Brilliant job from Russell there. In terms of from there onwards, though, it was pretty just standard, wasn't it? There wasn't anything going on. Perez, you know, finally got Fernando Alonso. Alonso was pushing hard, probably too hard early on, and that sort of cost him a little bit. And then it was a steady race until sort of Bottas had that issue with the engine issue, didn't he? A failure for him. He stopped out on track. We got the virtual safety car initially, and that really fell into the hands of Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris, who both went long. They hadn't stopped at this point, and it was a real benefit to them to get the stop under the VSC. But initially, it looked like Lando Norris had missed that, didn't he? With the luckily the VSC went on long enough. Bottas's car stuck in gear, and they were rocking that for absolutely ages, wasn't it, before they finally got that car off track. And yeah, thankfully Lando Norris got that stop, because otherwise it looked like it would be advantage Leclerc, and it did look like that for at least that first lap, didn't it? Luckily Lando got in, got the cheap pit stop, and then they called for a safety car, which actually then threw everybody in the mix, because it would have been a everyone bunch up and off they went again. So the two Red Bulls pitted, and Perez then fell behind both Leclerc and Norris, and that was the real turning point in the whole race, wasn't it? That from there on, we got the restart, which then meant we got the absolutely craziness of Lance Stroll slamming into the back of Daniel Ricciardo, and then the cheek to call him an idiot is just, yeah, not very good at all. And then it would just got worse from there for the Racing Bulls, didn't it? Because Tsunoda got taken out by Kevin and Magnussen, both Stroll and Magnussen getting 10-second penalties. Logan Sargent also got a 10-second penalty for the safety car infringement. I think he had just passed the guy coming out of the pits at the safety car line or safety car control line. It looked very tight and a little bit harsh, to be honest with you, but he was having a good race up until that point. It was probably his best. He was up into P13. Didn't look like he was going to be on for points though, but yeah, then the battle commenced, and Lando Norris up in second place, and you know, once Charles Leclerc kept Sergio Perez behind him again, Perez wasn't as strong in the race, was he? As we've seen that car have pace, especially in the hands of Max Verstappen, who was, you know, absolutely miles off clear winner for him. But you know, then you just thought, could Perez close up and catch Lando Norris? But he did a brilliant job, Norris, didn't he? Absolutely fantastic. Just the lap times he was pulling out as well with on them tyres, that car just did really, really well holding up you know, the tyres and the management of all the degradation and all that, which Ferrari's actually struggled with this time. It was one of the issues that they kind of sort of resolved with this car, but it came back to haunt them this weekend, didn't it? And in behind that, you know, Alonso went on the soft strategy, which, you know, he was running P5, and that was, yeah, absolutely disastrous from them. He had to pit, came out 12th, and then was on a charge. In the end, he got the fastest lap, and actually he got the save of the day, didn't he, with that in and behind Hamilton down the straight. I mean, how he kept hold of that was absolutely brilliant. What a job from him to recover from there. But yeah, disappointing from him, because it looked like better points were on the card, considering he started third, was up to second, but just too harsh on the tyres, Aston Martin here. And then let's get to the three good and the three bad of the race. Yeah, and the first one of the three good is Lando Norris. What a consistent, solid job from him. Fantastic result, a P2. You know, I don't think they expected to be strong in China. They've said so themselves. And to even do so well, the battle that he had, even in hunting down Sainz in the sprint, you know, that car looked strong in race trim. But to hold on and to beat a Red Bull is massively impressive, isn't it? Because that car, the Red Bull, just looked like it was on for a 1-2. Like, looked like nobody would stop them. But to do what he did, Lando Norris, I think he can be mega proud and happy with that. A fantastic job from McLaren to beat the Ferraris as well. There was a point where they looked like they're battling Mercedes for the third, fourth place fastest team, but yeah, Lando has just done an incredible job this weekend. The second of the three good, I've gone for Lewis Hamilton's recovery from P18 to P9. Now that car is a dog. Like, there's no way of getting around it. It's absolutely horrible. There's rumours of, is Hamilton just keep putting down his bad performances down to saying, oh, I went a different route on setup. It's the sort of the third or fourth time we've heard him say that with Russell, and he's got it wrong. If it's happening that wrong that many times, Lewis, probably just look at what Russell's doing and stick with it, because it looks like that's not your forte. But he's a 7 world title champion, and it's daft anybody saying that, especially me. I think he was just unlucky. He got caught out in qualifying, there's no two doubts about that. But to recover and gain up to P9 in that car, I think he did really well. The only disappointing, I think, is the fact that he didn't manage to pass Piastri when he got up close to him. He got him to just over a second behind him, but then couldn't make any inroads. And I don't know if that's Piastri managed better the end of the race, or especially considering Piastri had damage, and I think that's the only small disappointment there. And the third of the three good is Nico Hülkenberg, points for Haas. I didn't see that happening the way they were going. I know he had a brilliant qualifying, but you're looking like there was faster cars behind him, but an absolutely tremendous job from him. Fantastic. And I've got to give a shout out to Esteban Ocon, a P11, and absolutely probably it is definitely Alpine's best race of the season. And he'll be disappointed, Ocon, to not come out with some points. Apparently there's a bit of an investigation going on with Hülkenberg, though, for passing under the safety car when the Daniel Ricciardo and Stroll incident happened. Daniel Ricciardo also hit into the back of Piastri. I think he passed a couple of cars, and then he did let them through but he did pass under a safety car. But despite letting them through, I think the stewards should see sense and really just let him off the hook. But potentially, if there's a penalty on the cards, even just 5 seconds, Ocon finishing 2 seconds behind Hülkenberg, there's potential for a point for the Alpine team. And if that happens, they'll be absolutely over the moon, won't they, with this absolutely shed of a car that they've got. And on to the three bad. I'm going to go for the first is Sergio Perez, because in that car, to be beaten by McLaren of Lando Norris, on the same tyres, there was not like Perez had a deficit or anything like that. I think it's just another moment of where we kind of wish there's someone better in that second Red Bull, isn't it, where they'll actually take the fight to Max Verstappen, and let's have some fight at the front. And Sergio Perez doesn't look like that guy. And I think it's almost the same scenario of what we've seen with Bottas and Hamilton. There was time where Bottas, there was odd races where he was on it, but not very often, and it suits a big team just fine to have that number two that's not really a number two, but clearly not fast enough to fight the number one guy there. And I think Red Bull probably happy with the status quo a little bit, and especially Team Verstappen with that. But I think for the fans, it would be just great to see two big guns going at each other in the same team. And it's a bit of a surprise why we've not seen Norris sign for Red Bull to go alongside Verstappen, but that's the story for another day. But overall, back to Perez, I think he'll be disappointed. I think, he should be disappointed, because actually he should have just come home in a clear second place, where that car is just so dominant. I mean, Max Verstappen was about 10-15 seconds ahead after 15-20 laps. It's just absolutely tremendous, that car. He's at points only guy in the 139, at least second and a half faster than everyone else. And when the car's that quick, really the second guy should be comfortably home in second place. Three bad, I'm going to go for the strange Alonso strategy call to go on the softs, because otherwise it was a decent P5, P6. He's recovered to a P7, but I think he'll be disappointed with that. I'm not sure what they were thinking. There was never ever any on the card that soft would make it to the hards, to the end, and the only real way to go was the hard tyre or potentially the medium, and to go soft was very out of the ordinary, and he was up against cars that were much faster than him at that point. There was, you know, Max Verstappen, he was not fighting. Norris, who was 3 or 4 places ahead, and he wasn't really going to battle with him. Perez and one Ferrari. So, you know, I think I don't know. I'm not sure what they were trying to do there, because they were clearly never faster than that, and they weren't ever going to go for. Was it just a hope of go for softs and nick a podium? But I just really don't see that was on the cards for them. I think they read that wrong, really. So I think when they look back, they'll be disappointed with that. And then finally, the 3 bad is his teammate Lance Stroll. I mean, another really poor race, and to slam into the back of someone that your job is in the safety car is just look at the car in front and go bolt when he bolts, and just to absolutely wipe underneath him. You know, took Ricciardo out, who eventually went into Piastri. That's how hard he hit him, and literally he was halfway under his car. So, and then to call him an idiot was just topped it off, didn't it? He's so far off the pace of Fernando Alonso is Lance Stroll. It's yeah. If it was any other team, it'd be gone. Team Aston Martin have said that, you know, the whole surround and outfit of Aston Martin is designed to be around Lance Stroll. So I imagine they're even like considering what he wants in terms of the car and all that sort of stuff to cater to him, and he's still performing horribly bad. The only benefit and good that could come of this is that he decides that he realises he's not good enough, and just to hang up his gloves, he's had enough. And hopefully we can get someone better and faster in that car. But with that, will the money of Papa Stroll disappear also? And therefore, you know, will the investment in that team die out a little bit from there, should that happen? But yeah, that's the 3 of the 3 bad. I'm going to go final point is there, the Ferrari's lack of pace. I think that was also disappointing. The fact that Charles Leclerc, again, was similar tyres to Perez and Norris, just wasn't ever in the battle. He just easily dropped him, and I think that was disappointing as well from them, because I had them down to be a track that should really suit them. It didn't happen, and it wasn't to be. But there we go. Next time out, we're in Miami. It's another sprint race weekend there. Can't wait for the action to get going. Hopefully it's a better race in some scenarios than what we've had here. But the sprint here in China was absolutely fantastic. So if it goes anything like that, yeah, it should be a good weekend. But yeah, that's it. Next up, Miami. Watch out for the driver ratings video coming soon. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always. See you next time.